Hey everyone, Chris here. I've been ranking every single feat in 5th edition D&D, and so far I have gone through all 42 feats in the Player's Handbook, and all 15 in Xanathar's, and all 15 in Tasha's, and today what I'm going to be doing is ranking all the feats that are in Dragonlance and Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. The system I'm using is fairly rigorous. I'm going to be assigning points to every single trait of every single feat, comparing it to the totals of every other feat in the game, and creating a full ranking system. And I have a video where I go over that method. I'm linking it up above for you if you haven't checked it out yet. But I think I want to get started here on Dragonlance feats, and we're going to begin with Adept of the Black Robes. So, two things here. First, Ambitious Magic. We're going to learn one second level spell of our choice, and it must be from the Enchantment or Necromancy School of Magic. There are some good options there. Tasha's Mind Whip comes to mind right away. We can cast it without a spell slot. We can cast it using our spell slots. We can choose our casting ability score, 18 points. And then Life Channel. You can channel your life force into the power of your magic. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of you fails a saving throw against a spell that deals damage that you cast, you can expend a number of hit dice equal to the level of the spell. Roll the expended hit dice and add them together. The damage the creature takes increases by an amount equal to that total. You can add a lot of damage to spells with this. Now, obviously, it's using your hit dice, so if you are relying on short rests to recover hit points, not such a great idea, but if you have other forms of healing, you can add a lot of damage with Life Channel. And so, yeah, I think overall it's still probably worth 35 points. Add those together, and Adept of the Black Robes is a 53-point feat. And that is enough for A tier, and it's tied with Dragon Fear. Next, we have Adept of the Red Robes. So we're going to choose a second level spell of our choice from Illusion or Transmutation. Like with the first one, good choices there. I'm going to say 18 points, just like the other one. And then we get Magical Balance. When you make an attack roll or ability check and roll a 9 or lower on a d20, you can balance fate and treat the roll as 10. You can balance fate this way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I sure wish saving throws were included, but you know what? Magical Balance is still decent. I'd say it's worth 25 points. Put those two together, and this is a 43-point feat. And that puts it at the low end of B tier. In fact, it's tied with Second Chance. Next, we have Adept of the White Robes. And guess what? Yep, another second level spell. This time we're choosing Abjuration or Divination. And there it is again, good choices. So I gave it the same points, 18 points. Then we get Protective Ward. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to expend a spell slot and weave protective magic around the target. Roll a number of d6s equal to the level of spell slot expended, and reduce the damage the target takes by the total rolled on these dice plus your spellcasting ability modifier. I mean, it's pretty good, but it is expensive. That's a lot of spell slots to be using and reactions to be using. I'm still going to give it 20 points, but I don't think this is as good as the other Adept features. So this gets 38 points total. And that brings it to the low end of C tier. In fact, it's tied with a bunch of stuff at the low end there. Next feat is Divinely Favored. Alright, so we're going to learn one cantrip of our choice from the Cleric spell list, or Guidance as it's otherwise known, and one first level spell based on the alignment of your character as specified in the alignment spells table below. And so we're going to choose either a first level Warlock spell, Cleric spell, or Druid spell. There's great first level Druid and Cleric spells, and Warlock spells not quite as good. But if we're considering our better options, I figure that's worth 18 points. And then we're also going to get the Augury spell, which we can cast without a spell slot. That's a second level spell. I'd give this more points, but Augury is a ritual, so being able to cast it without a spell slot isn't as big a deal, but it's still worth 16 points. Put those all together, and Divinely Favored is 43 points total. And that means Divinely Favored is going to end up on the low end of B tier. Next one is the Initiate of High Sorcery. Alright, so we're going to learn one cantrip of our choice from the Wizard spell list, so probably like Minor Illusion, and two first level spells based on the moon we choose as specified in the Lunar Spells table. There are some good spells here, some medium spells and some not so great spells, but you should be able to get 2 fairly solid spells here. And of course there's some bangers like Shield on the list. So the cantrip's worth 9, and the 2 first level spells is worth 35. And again, you can cast them without a spell slot, both of them, and you can use your spell slots to cast them again. So total for Initiate of High Sorcery is 44 points. That makes it B tier. It's tied with Piercer. Next up, we have Knight of the Crown. So we have 3 ability scores to choose from for a +1. That's worth 23 points. And then we get Commanding Rally. As a bonus action, you can command 1 ally within 30 feet of yourself to attack. If that ally can see or hear you, they immediately make 1 weapon attack as a reaction. If the attack hits, the ally can roll a d8 and add the number rolled as a bonus to the attack's damage roll. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I mean, pretty good, right? It's going to give your allies reaction attacks with a damage bonus. So yeah, I figure that's worth a solid 25. Add that to the 23, we got 48 for Knight of the Crown. And that puts it at the top side of B tier. Next up, we have Knight of the Rose. So we got 3 ability scores to choose from for a +1, that's worth 23. And then we get Bolstering Rally. As a bonus action, you can encourage 1 creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself, and you can choose yourself. If the target can see or hear you, the target gains temporary hit points equal to a d8 plus your proficiency bonus plus the ability modifier of the ability score increased by this feat. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And yeah, that's alright. I figure it's worth 18 points added to the ability score increase, and we have a total of 41. And that puts it in C tier, but, top side of C tier. Next up, we have Knight of the Sword. So ability score increase, 3 choices, that's worth 23. And then we have Demoralizing Strike. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack roll, you can attempt to frighten the target. Target makes a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. On a successful save, the target has disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn. You can use this benefit a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This is not a super powerful feature, but one thing I really like here, the creature is still given disadvantage on an attack roll even if they make the saving throw. So even if they make their save, something good happens. I like that. But overall, 20 points I think is the most I can give that, plus 23 for the ability score increase, that's 43 total. And that's enough for B tier. It's tied up here with Athlete in the B tier. So this is the last one from Dragonlance. This is a Squire of Solamnia. And we're going to get Mount Up. Mounting or dismounting costs us only 5 feet of movement. That is a ribbon feature. If I've ever saw one, 5 points. And then Precise Strike. Once per turn, when you make a weapon attack roll against a creature, you can cause the roll to have advantage. If the attack hits, you roll a d8 and add the number rolled as a bonus to the attack damage roll. You can use this benefit a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, but a use is only expended if the attack hits. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So I like here that we're combining both advantage and a damage bonus. And Precise Strike, I've seen it used many times, and it's pretty good. It's 28 points is what I've given it, but the other feature being a ribbon, and there's no ability score increase, Squire of Solamnia still only gets 33 points total. And that brings it to the low end of D tier. So we're going to move on from Dragonlance to Big B Presents Glory of the Giants. And we begin with Ember of the Fire Giant. And so we're going to get 3 things here. First, an ability score increase, and we have 3 choices, that's worth 23. Second, we're going to get resistance to fire damage. I figure that's worth 13 points. And third, we're going to get Searing Ignition. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace a single attack with a magical burst of flame. Each creature of your choice within a 15-foot radius sphere centered on you must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes fire damage equal to a d8 plus your proficiency bonus, and it has the blinded condition until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage only, and its proficiency bonus uses prolonged rest. Pretty solid feature. I'd say 22 points for that. So 23 plus 13 plus 22, that's 58 points. That is S tier. up by Resilient and Telekinetic. Next up, we have Fury of the Frost Giant. So we have increased to Strength, Constitution, or Wisdom. That's worth 23. Resistance to cold damage, I gave 12 points. Frigid Retaliation. Immediately after a creature you can see within 30 feet of you hits you with an attack roll and deals damage, you can use your reaction to retaliate with a Conjured Blast of Ice. They make a Constitution saving throw, not ideal. On a failed save, the creature takes cold damage equal to a d8 plus your proficiency bonus, and its speed is reduced to 0 until the end of its next turn. That's fairly nice. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I mean, it's okay. I'm going to give it 13 points. If it wasn't for the 0 speed possibility, this would be a ribbon. So our total for Fury of the Frost Giant, 48 points. And that puts it up around the top of B tier. And next we're going to have Guile of the Cloud Giant. So 3 ability scores to choose from. That's 23. And then Cloudy Escape. When a creature you can see hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance that attacks damage. You then teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. You can do it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's a pretty nice feature. I'm giving it 22 points for a total of 45 points for this feat. And that puts this on B tier, tied with Heavy Armor Master. Next we have Keenness of the Stone Giant. Alright, ability score increase, 3 choices, so that's 23. This one's going to give us Dark Vision, and that's worth 10. Also, if you have Dark Vision already, it increases by 60 feet. And then we're going to get Stone Throw. As a bonus action, you can take a rock and make a magical attack with it. The attack is a ranged spell attack with a range of 60 feet that uses the ability score you increase with this feat as the spellcasting ability. On a hit, the rock deals a d10 force damage, and the target must succeed on a strength saving throw or have the prone condition. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And yeah, not bad. I'd say it's worth 20 points. So 23 plus 10 plus 20, that's 53 points for this feat. And that's enough for A tier. It's going to put it up around here, tied with a few other things. And our next feat is Rune Shaper. There is a huge amount of text here, obviously. But basically, what you're going to get is the Comprehend Languages spell, which you can cast without spending a spell slot. Comprehend Languages is a ritual already. As you have heard in previous videos, I'm not that impressed by the ability to be able to speak additional languages because it's just so common in D&D. So, yeah, it's worth 5 points. I figure it's a ribbon. And then Rune Magic. You know a number of runes equal to half your proficiency bonus, rounded down. That means until we get into tier 3, I think, we're going to be looking at one rune. Chosen from the rune spells table, when you finish a long rest, you can inscribe each rune you know into one non-magical weapon, armor, piece of clothing, or other object you touch. You temporarily learn the first level spells that correspond to the runes you inscribed, or more likely, rune singular that you inscribed, as specified in the rune spells table. And you know these spells until you finish a long rest, which is when the runes fade. When you're wearing or carrying any rune-marked object, you can cast the spells associated with those runes using your spell slots. You can also invoke a rune inscribed on an object you are wearing or carrying and cast its associated spell without expending a spell slot or using material components. Once you cast a spell this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Your spellcasting ability for this feat is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma, and each time you gain a level, you can replace one of the runes you know with another one from the rune spells table. And if we look at the list here is fine. I mean, there's some good choices on here. Goodberry is good. Longstrider is good. I mean, the main thing here is this technically does scale, right? So eventually we're going to have a proficiency bonus of 4, and then we're going to get 2 runes, and eventually we will have a proficiency bonus of +6 if we have a very long campaign, and then we would have 3. And so I need to give value for that. I'm also going to give value for the fact that you can change it out from day to day. So I'm going to give this 26 points. And then we're going to add that to Comprehend Languages for a total of 31 for Rune Shaper, which means Rune Shaper ultimately it's just not a very good feat. It's going to be on F tier, tied with Elemental Adept. Next we have Soul of the Storm Giant. So we got an ability score increase, 3 choices, that's 23 points. Then we have Maelstrom Aura. Alright, as a bonus action, you surround yourself with an aura of magical wind and lightning that extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. The aura lasts until the start of your next turn or until you're incapacitated, so a very short period of time. While the aura is active, you have resistance to lightning and thunder damage. In addition, attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and whenever another creature starts its turn within the area, you can force the creature to make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, their speed is halved until the start of its next turn. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. And ultimately, this is okay, but the duration is really short. So, I mean, it's worth 19 points. So add that together, and this is a 42-point feat. That puts it at C tier, but it is at the top of C tier. Next we have Strike of the Giants. So, we have absorbed primeval magic that gives us the Echo of the Might of Giants. When you take this feat, choose one of the benefits listed below. Once per turn, when you hit a target with a melee weapon or a ranged attack using a throw-on weapon, you can imbue the attack with an additional effect depending on the benefit you choose. I'm not going to go through all of them, but essentially you're going to add anywhere from a D4 to a D10 damage. If you add a D10 damage, nothing else happens. I can't help but think of feats like Squire of Solamnia, where you get advantage and a D8. Here you're just going to get a D10. That's just not as good, right? But there are some other secondary effects you can do. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is maybe worth 25 points. And this obviously should be a half feat to me. Because, yeah, this means the entire feat is worth 25 points. And so it's on F tier, tied with Eldritch Adept. And that brings us to Vigor of the Hill Giant. So we can increase our strength, constitution, or wisdom. That's 23 points. Bulwark. When you are subjected to an effect that would move you at least 5 feet or give you the prone condition, you can use your reaction to steady yourself. You aren't moved and you don't have the prone condition. That's a cool feature. It's not going to come up super often. So, I mean, 10 points, but it's cool. And then Iron Stomach. Whenever you eat food as part of a short rest and spend 1 or more hit dice to regain hit points, you regain additional hit points equal to your Constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. And that's a ribbon. It's worth 6 points. So add it all together, and this is 39 points. But I love the flavor of it, but 39 points. And that puts it in around the middle of C tier, up around there. So I have some good news and I have some bad news. The bad news is that's the end of Bigby Presents and Dragonlance, and therefore the end of this video. The good news is just one more video to go, where I'm going to be going over Planescape and Fizban's Treasury of Dragons and Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos and the Book of Many Things and both of the Eberron books and the Elemental Evil Player's Guide, and we're going to finish off this whole thing. And if you're finding it hard to look at this tier chart because it's getting very, very busy at this point, rest assured, with the last video, in the video description, I am going to list every feat in Dungeons & Dragons and the point values for each of them. I'll list them in order from number 1 to number 105. So I hope you'll join me. Otherwise, until next time, I'm going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.